We see them cycling up now for Ultra Prime. They're going to be the ones to take the set. Still very much a flex pick. Can go almost everywhere except AD carry, hypothetically speaking. We have seen a couple of fringe picks there into the jungle, of course, as well. As we see now, what do FPX want to prioritize? The Rumble is still there. They've got themselves the Udyr, like you mentioned. They've got a plethora of different things that they have no issues whatsoever that they can, you know, kind of flex towards.
I feel like you go with the Rumble as they just picked because Sett sets up really well for Rumble, so I don't think you really want to give both of those picks over towards the side of up. We saw last game, right? It was always a face breaker into multi-man equalizer coming out, so you're going to go with that one straight away. You don't need to necessarily feel pressured to go for the Udyr because you also assume Sett's going to go into one of these solo lanes, so not some like kind of high impact combo like a Sett and Rumble would be. And we're going to see Lwx go back to one of his bread and butters, going to go with the Kaisa rather than the Ezreal. That's another new trend we're starting to see in LPL of where do you lie on the scale? Do you prefer something like an Ezreal, maybe, you know, a little bit less agency and laning phase, but really strong once the Divine Sunderer comes online? Or are you still the type that, hey, I want to push out in lane, I want to dive in and look for a lot of these assassination kills with the Kaisa?
See what they want to go for. Of course, the Kaisa does give you, like you said, the dive potential, and we see now with the Lillia and the Jayce being locked in. So there is the jungle and one of the solo lanes locked in here for Ultra Prime. Again, that Sett can still flex into that support role, can also go towards the solo lanes, so definitely a lot of different opportunities here for the side of Ultra Prime. And for FPX, you're still just kind of seeing what you want to go for. I wouldn't be surprised to see them, I was going to say lock in the Kled. I actually really like this because it flexes into that dive composition with the Kaisa that you just mentioned.
And that's the thing, right? He even already knows what he's playing into because high chance Sett probably going to go into the top lane. I guess they can flex it now that they see the Kled coming out and be like, hey, we'll put Jayce up against this pick, but I still think Kled is fine against that champion. I wonder where FPX will go with their other soul lane, which again, we're going to assume is top. There's no way Doinb doesn't play Kled. Certain things come to mind, like we saw in finals, it was all about Nuguri counter-picking the Irelia. That obviously will be fine in the 1v1 matchup, but Irelia jumping into a Sett and Lillia does sound pretty rough. You're going to get slept, you're going to get showstoppered out of the fight. There's just going to be a lot of complications. And once we get past that, you're looking at, I think, either like kind of tanks that can just ignore or survive the matchup. And that's kind of about it.
Yeah, you're kind of just seeing what you can get away here. You can see the Kog'Maw, the Ezreal all being banned away, the Gnar being banned by Ultra Prime, but I don't think anyone is worried whatsoever for the champion pool of Nuguri. They are going to ban away the Alistar as well, something that Crisp is very much known for in his time on FBX, but I will be curious that, you know, the only time that ZS has played Sett, so as I said, like, you know, most likely going into that mid lane, but if he was to play it, you know, he played it, he ended with a 0.5 KDA and did not win the match, so definitely a little bit of a sore spot for him if we're going to be moving up towards that particular pick for him, but we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be the Nautilus locked in for the side of Crisp. Nautilus, Kaisa, pretty bog standard bot lane, just works so well together, and you got that nice engage again to help facilitate that dive.
I don't think there's really too many good options for up spot lane. Aphelios was the first thing that comes to my mind, but even when it comes to supports to pair him with, right, you would typically think Thresh, but at the same time, Rumble's going to drop the equalizer on you. Sure, the other champions actually don't do too well into Aphelios in the sense that Aphelios does great into champions that dive into him, right? If you want to kind of measure Aphelios' potential impact before a game, just count how many champions on the enemy squad need to run into him. So I feel like we're going to be looking a lot at how this Rumble does. And GP, another one. So happy that FPX are hovering this. Another champion that puts so much threat on the Aphelios in the backline. You know, you have the Cannon Barrage and Equalizer dropped on top of you. Smlz is not taken out of a fight. It doesn't matter if he's dead or not. He can't walk forward in auto. He needs to move back. It gives the members of FPX more room to play with and either pick off frontline or just get right on top of, you know, Smlz, xiaocaobao, or Hacker.
Yeah, I'm looking, like you said, like just jumping on Smlz, like you've got the Cannon Barrage, the Equalizer, the Charge from Doinb, the Killer Instinct, like how do you get away from all of this? There's just so many things that's like, and it's not even hard CC, it's annoying slow CC. That's not even gonna be like, you can cleanse it, but you're still in it, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about all that kind of setup, but I'm curious to see now how the side of Ultra Prime really take this, because if this game does go towards those team fights and does end up going kind of accelerated in the favor of FPX, there's just no coming back. Ultra Prime are going to find it so difficult to keep this Aphelios alive if FPX get a foot in the door.
That's the thing, right? And I think the thing I'm most interested in seeing is where they put their pressure around, because you do combo with your top side quite well, because you have an AP jungler and AD soul laners. Especially at level 6, you'll have that sleep up for the top lane to set up your Jayce damage. So I want to see who really gets control over the mid jungle 2v2, because that's what feels like will dictate the map early on. And late game, we just said, it's all about, hey, can Smlz survive? I feel like with a lot of the tools that FPX have put together, it will be hard, but a 3-item Aphelios is still a 3-item Aphelios.
Do have to put respect on the 200 years, as Hysterics likes to put it out, as we see now Game 2 coming onto the Rift. Gangplank for Nuguri, another carry-esque champion, someone who can just blow up the backsides. But if Ultra Prime can get this Lillia Jayce combination going and maybe get the Sett roaming around, they should be able to get some purchase and maybe, you know, focus onto that backside. But we'll have to wait and see. FPX versus Ultra Prime, Game 2 of this best of 3 series. One win for FPX sends them to a 2-0 start in the season. Up, looking to try and keep this series going a little bit longer.
They also did commit to the swap. I thought, you know, potentially that they could swap back if they wanted to, but going to keep Jayce in the mid lane, don't want the Sett to get punished and out-roamed, out-traded, all of those things. You do have a range advantage in that matchup, sure. Doinb is going to be looking for the dash into the bear trap, but you should have a fine time navigating, getting away from that between your movement speed, your range. You know, you have the knockback in your hammer form as well, so we're going to really see how this matchup goes. Doinb to me is looking more to combo with TN, especially once he does hit that level 6 mark. But yeah, it's going to be a really interesting 2v2 around mid lane, Penguin. These are champions we don't get to see every day, and these are champions we really only get to see because FPX are on the Rift.
Literally, because FPX exist, we only get to really see this. Of course, Kled, one of the dark technologies from the 2019 stint or run that did make FPX the world champions. I was there in Paris, a little sad because I was there as a spectator for G2 at the time. I was not a LPL boy at that time, so had to rep my boys at the time. But you know, I've been converted since then, as we can see Hacker now roaming up. I like this from TN, just being able to kind of push away his camps, knowing that he's going to be invaded, is still going to see that Hacker is here. I actually didn't see who got that one there, as we wait to see now where this Lillia wants to go, but Nuguri is around. They still have pressure though for the side of Ultra Prime into that mid lane, so it is going to be a 2v2. Hacker trying to see if he can just get away from this one. There is going to be barrels in the way. He will be slowed down. Has to flash away. There's a lot of damage here. He's burning down. The flash forward, but the face breaker is enough to keep him alive. And they are going to be able to... Ooh! Flash forward in with the haymaker. This could be a 2v1, but ZS not able to get any of the kills down. He's waiting for his cooldowns. Just about keeps himself alive. And again, early aggression in this game coming from both sides.
And that's so surprising, right? Because we see Hacker look for the invade. He knows his mid laner has pressure. That's why he feels confident going for it. Looks for the trade on the Krugs, which is a little bit questionable with the fact that Nuguri is the one with Prio up in that top lane. So close to going down, but it does bait TN and Nuguri into blowing their flashes. Like you said, ZS almost trades. And in the end, a play that I think should have been punished by FPX, overall being fine for Ultra Prime.
Just about getting out of it, and that's the jungler is kind of delayed a bit more as well. You can see the kind of little bit as we have a replay on this bot side, see how exactly what went down in the picture-in-picture, but just a very solid hook that forces the cleanse out there from the side of Lwx. So again, something we saw in the first game is something that Ultra Prime will probably hopefully be working on and kind of in improving and in kind of emphasizing is the word I was looking for, is that bot lane. It did do very well into FPX last game. They want to keep that trend going.
Something we should highlight for any new viewers to the LPL this season is the fact that xiaoC is pretty much a Thresh god. xiaoC is just known for any hook champion. Last year on E-Star, it was a rotation between Thresh, Nautilus, and Blitzcrank, I'd say pretty consistently every game. So xiaoC in his comfort zone. like you highlighted, will be a point to see if he can do a lot, especially to keep Smlz protected. But Up so far trying to utilize the fact that they do have this ranged against melee matchup, the fact that Doinb doesn't really have access to the all-in until he hits that level 6 point, and try to steal away camps from TN continuously.
See what they want to go for. Of course, the level 6 from FPX is terrifying. No exaggeration whatsoever. And I feel like that could be the old school way, like back in 2019, and what made FPX so successful was these multi-man dives towards that bot side. And when you have things like a Kled, a Rumble, and a Gangplank on your team in those solo lanes with a Nautilus comboed into that, that is a very scary prospect for Smlz and xiaoC. They need to be so careful, as we see the lollipop does not pop xiaoC. They're just stopping the backs as much as they can. And again, this is just kind of a slow and steady wins the race here for, you know, both these sides. We saw a little bit of early aggression, a little bit of, you know, kind of skirmishing, but nothing too crazy whatsoever. And you can see there, FPX, they were looking for a cheeky back, but they have to come down here. They have to deal with this stuck wave. Otherwise, it will just be stuck here forever, and they will constantly lose CS.
And they're trying to set up the play, right? So consciously trying to pull Lwx and Crisp. And you can see FPX realize this, though, because Tien's coming down. He's already pathing on the minimap. So realizing, hey, Ultra Prime are trying to punish this lane. Hacker's spending a lot of time here, but he actually doesn't have any camps up.
Yeah, he got seen, though, as well. He just took a little bit too far forward. Now that Tien's here, does Hacker stay? He does. I don't think they know that he's still here, and I don't think Tien knows that he's been spotted, so a lot of posturing here as both teams think they have the upper hand. Now FPX know that they've been spotted, and they will just tell their jungler to go off and do his camps.
And FPX are the ones, once again, who I feel like need to be making plays. Again, last game, they didn't necessarily because Lucian building AD carry, but this game, sure, you do have the tools late game still, but, right, Ultra Prime just have so much range. They have Jayce, they have Lillia, they have Aphelios, they will just be chilling, but Nuguri isn't. Doinb coming in, though.
Doinb is here. Not exactly the most healthy boy in the world. On this Kled, will get the bear trap on a rope down, does knock back the Jayce a little bit to put down a little bit more punishment, and 2 teleports down, nothing actually ends up going away.
Nope, and Ultra Prime still doing a good job of trying to punish in the bottom lane. Sure, Lwx will have a big wave to catch, so he shouldn't be too far behind, but nice of Doinb to utilize his TP to try to save his top laner, and it's the slow burn that you talked about. We have a slow burn, we have 2 very different compositions, one playing from a range, one trying to kite back. You're going to see ZS and xiaoC play more of zoning roles, and then on the opposite side, everyone funneling in, drop the cannon barrage, drop the equalizer on top of Smlz, and try to be able to take the fight when they aren't able to return damage.
Tien is here, not quite level 6 though, so needs to be a little bit careful. Cannon barrage very early. And that feels like a little bit of a trigger-happy Nuguri there. Just feeling like he's still on Lucian, that he's able to kite away from everybody. Not really the play he needed.
We also did see Doinb burn his ultimate as well. So maybe trying to get the slow so Doinb has the, you know, the ability to close the distance and find the engage. That isn't what we saw. Still, FPX were able to get the dragon, but it's going to limit their playmaking potential for the next 2 minutes. So Up at least know they're fine in terms of they shouldn't have too much to worry about. I doubt FPX can realistically look for a dive on top. Doinb should be at a point where he can start contesting mid-wave with the fact that he does have the Iron Spike whip. But with bot lane prio, xiaoC going to be at a point where he's going to start looking for these roams, maybe pairing up with Hacker, trying to find the sleeps and pick members of FPX off.
Oh, the lollipop just not hitting xiaoC right now. As you can see there, he gets himself done. They're going to flash in. Hacker does have the sleep available. No flash there just yet, but a great hook onto Lwx. First blood, make it a double. Ultra Prime are on the board.
Really nice play by them. Crisp looking for the play. Again, mid lane was completely even. They didn't know where Hacker was. They felt safe, but Hacker was there, goes through the flash leap. I like that they even prioritized going for Lwx after once he flashes over the wall because he realized, hey, a death sentence is still up. FPX going to try to answer back with the Herald on the opposite side of the map, but still, not only a gold lead, but you're already starting off with the Dragon stacking. What's it going to be? Mountain Drake. So either Ocean Soul or Infernal Soul coming out of the Rift.
Great little play there from Ultra Prime, really punishing the fact that FPX and Crisp in particular was just kind of looking for that little bit of a hook, a little bit of a play there, you know, kind of jump in with the killer instinct and maybe catch out the support, but really nicely played. And they not only do they get the 2 kills, but they also burn both flashes. So FPX bot lane have to play so defensive. And you can see here, the pop just kind of doesn't really hit him. He's still in a good position, but knowing the hacker is there to be able to get the Dark Passage into the flash, into the lilting lullaby, and a blind hook from the side of xiaoC just sets it all up so perfectly.
Yeah, I'm still surprised they looked for it, maybe thinking they could pop him instantly, but xiaocaobao was already hovering towards the bottom side of the lane. They didn't have eyes on Hacker, but Nuguri was pushing in top. Tian was towards the top side of the map, so maybe a little bit over-ambitious from the side of FunPlus Phoenix. But at the same time, again, nice coming from Ultra Prime. This is a team that not many of us had high expectations for. They were one of the teams I was more excited for coming into this split with the roster changes they made. Smlz, even though not having a good split when he was on OMG, still a strong player always. And xiaocaobao, nothing's going to happen, but ultimately, again, I think this is one of the most exciting players to come out from the LDL this split. And we got a ton of them. We have so many players from LDL this split. There's like 10 of them or so. I could be wrong, could be more, could be less, but point is, there's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of players. Like when you think about the roster, 17 teams, minimum of 5 players, if not 6 or 7, because some of them have like actual rotating substitutes. So you're looking at, you know, 100, not 100, excuse me, about like, you know, 60, 75, you know, 60 teams or 60 players, I should say, you know, a lot of different things. And while this is all happening, Cannon Barrage needs to be used into this bot lane, as a lot of these plates have already gone down. That is like solo pressure right there from this bot side. Rift Herald on the other side means that there's going to be a trade for the side of FPX. They will get top turret in return, as bot turret will go down. But there's a lot of gold going into Smlz, and you mentioned it in Champ Select. If this Aphelios got 3 items, that's still scary regardless of anything else in the game.
I mean, and even think about it, right? If teamfights come later on, an Equalizer gets wasted, Cannon Barrage gets wasted, you're able to kite them out, and FPX aren't able to find the hard engage when those tools are used. Then going into the next sequence, you are stronger than FPX, you out DPS them. I don't think they do here. Hook lands.
That was so lucky. There's a new interaction that I did not know about. Should the hook be enough damage to take Kled off of Skarl, it will stop him from being dragged back. So now we know. It's a feature.
It's always the small things. Hey, we also get to see Nuguri bringing out the Divine Thunderer GP. We did a segment on day 1 how this did get buffed, gained more damage. The healing is increased as well. Going to be extremely strong in the side lane when he is facing up against Sett. And it's nice to see this new variation of GP come out, because remember, used to be Immortal Shield Bow, but not anymore, Penguin.
Not anymore. You got to go for the Divine Thunderer. I think you mentioned it on broadcast, and if you have an excuse to build it, you should be building it. It is a disgustingly strong item right now. I think we've seen Volibears take it. We've seen pretty much everyone. Tanks, carries, AD carries, bruisers, everyone. So we can see now Smlz now being swapped up towards this top side. Still plenty of time to pick up some plates, and you can see there they're just trying to funnel all of this gold onto the Aphelios. TP coming out though, as they actually felt like there was a dive potential here for the side of Ultra Prime, which means more free time for the side of Ultra Prime on this top side, but it also means that FPX get another trade into the bot lane.
That's the thing, though. I think is Ultra Prime, you're fine with split map scenarios where Aphelios is getting solo gold to himself. Penguin, are they going to look for this?
I think they might. They've got 4 people. Ooh. If that hook landed, that would the go sign right there is ZS. Just trying to help push them down these turrets. I can see exactly what they're going for. They want all of this solo gold, all of this solo experience onto this Aphelios. There is no if, buts, maybes about it. They want him to have as much gold in his pocket at all times. But Lwx, they're sharing the gold. They're sharing the experience. So yes, it is still guaranteeing the turret, but Doinb now might be in a little bit of trouble. Flash into the Facebreaker, into the Showstopper, gets Crisp caught out, and now Crisp has nowhere to go. He gets himself flayed back. One more hit will do it, and he is down. Now Hacker on this backside. Doinb, though, with the Cannon Barrage, is going to be able to push this one forward. Not able to get anything more. It is 2 for 1 in favor of FPX. They finally get themselves on the kill board.
Yeah, Crisp ends up getting caught out, but FPX aren't in position to punish. Cannon Barrage and Doinb getting that clutch remount to finish off the kills. So kind of getting that gold closer to even. But in the top side, we saw SMLZ was getting free hits on a turret, was getting more gold onto himself, sitting over 30 CS up on Lwx right now. He's a full item up already, having that rune on Hurricane. So more and more just becoming something that the side of FPX have to worry about.
He is 2,800 gold ahead, as we can see now. Doinb, he just kind of goes a little bit forward, almost baiting, and this could have been great had the turret not just done so much damage to xiaoC.
Yeah, and at the same time, Crisp, I don't think he could have lived. Did have flash up, but Doinb does re-engage afterwards. Cannon Barrage came out, and we even saw that Hacker had to throw it to sleep because they realized Tien was on his way as well. So, one dragon to one dragon, gold now less than 1,000 gold apart. And now we're going to get to a point where, right, both teams want to have their soul lanes in a side lane, Doinb one side, Nuguri, xiaocaobao, and ZS respectively. But I think the side of FPX are going to be the ones looking to group much more, right? For Doinb, it's going to be a lot about, hey, I'm going to answer a side wave, then I'm going to move back to mid every chance I can. Look to use that ultimate onto SMLZ, xiaoC, Hacker, find those picks, and keep moving the game forward. But the good thing for the side of FPX is Nuguri is also farming, having a good time. Looks like he's probably going to make his way towards that Serpent's Fang. That has been the go-to build on Divine Sunder or GP. So, a lot of players on both sides getting 2 points of power.
I will say, though, it's a 3,000 gold lead or thereabouts, 2,500 to 3,000 for SMLZ in the bot lane, and it's about 2,500, 3,000 for Nuguri into ZS in the top side. So there is a very clear distinction of who gets the gold and who they want to be trying to carry this game as of right now. The Gangplank, of course, will just scale into that AoE barrel monster, as we can see. Hacker picking himself up his Rift Herald, so they might be able to use that to crack open that mid lane turret. And again, more and more pressure being put down onto this. This is pretty much the SMLZ show for the side of Ultra Prime. They need him to be safe, they need him to pop off, and they need him to be dealing the damage. If they can keep him alive in an extended fight, like you mentioned earlier, he will destroy it. He's already got his Runeans and his Kraken Slayer, so he's already shredding health bars.
The thing is... Oh, God.
Yeah, speaking of shredding health bars, they're going to be able to catch Doinb. The Equalizer has to be used along with the charge and the Cannon Barrage. They're going to pop out the Moonlight Vigil. He's not quite dead just yet. Now he is. They will be able to take him down. Hacker goes golden flashes away. The hook goes in, but the showstopper on top of everybody means the Killer Instinct is only going to be on top of the Jayce. He flashes away. The Rumble is dead on the back side of this. Lwx has nowhere to go. He will eventually fall. He's ticking down. One hook will do it. xiaoC picks that one up, and it's a fantastic fight for Ultra Prime. Unfortunately for them, there's no Baron, there's no Dragon, there's only gold.
Penguin, they will take gold every single time. xiaoC's hooks looking on point. This is his most played champion. This is his key champion. Catching Doinb out when he's walking into River. All the members of Ultra Prime are there. They're also going to be able to turn this into a turret. And I feel like one massive thing when we talk about these team comps, when we talk about scaling, when we talk about who is getting gold, it's not only that it's like, okay, SMLZ is getting his gold. It's like, hey, Lwx isn't going to be able to do anything in this game. As we go into the replay, they're trying to contest Vision as just a two-man, but Ultra Prime are ready. They already pushed out the wave in mid. They know no members are showing on side waves, so a little bit surprised that Doinb went for this one. Really nice stopwatch coming out from Hacker. Not sure if he has Lasagnas yet, and then into the ultimate from ZS. Sure, Lwx is able to pick one up on the opposite side of the fight, but xiaoC with the flash play, they're able to finish him off. And like you said, there might not have been a neutral on the map, but they were able to pick up so much gold from this play. And in the meantime, Hacker as well still has the Rift Herald. Does turn out it was only a stopwatch in that play. Hasn't finished Lasagnas quite yet. And now you have so much momentum going forward. I can only imagine how much gold SMLZ is sitting on at this point, as I don't have to imagine.
Yeah, he just bought. He has gotten 2/3 of his Infinity Edge. So, again, one more rotation of kind of being out for 5 minutes, about 1,500 gold or so, and he will be 3-item Aphelios. Lwx hasn't even finished his second. Lwx is 50 CS behind, is 1-2-0, and really just hasn't been at all present, really, in terms of, like, you know, kind of, or hasn't been able to be present, I should say, you know, in these fights. He's just been completely zoned out in that bot side. It's something we saw in the first game. We see it again in the second. This bot lane 2v2 was very much in favor of Ultra Prime and has continued to be that way into game 2.
And we're seeing a bit of a trade on opposite sides of the map come. This is why they're going for it. Hackers still having that Herald. They should be able to push. FPX are respecting it, and backs are coming out. Doinb, I don't think we'll walk too far forward because always a chance of a dive coming out for them. And the thing is, a lot of the conditions we talked about for FPX earlier on, I don't think Ultra Prime has to be too worried about. You know, Cannon Barrage comes out, Equalizer comes out. It's like, okay, I think Smlz should be fine, especially with ZS in front of him tanking all that damage. It doesn't really matter that ZS doesn't have items because his job is to just be a shield that stands in front of Smlz and does not let anyone pass.
Yeah, and again, you know, as long as they have good vision control for Ultra Prime, as long as they know where the Gangplank is setting up his barrels, Smlz, you know, historically, he's one of the, you know, one of the oldest kind of, you know, AD carry players we have still left in the league, and showing his prowess, showing that he is still able to go toe to toe and really popping off in this game. And I'm very, very impressed with him on this, you know, this Aphelios pick. But it's all about those team fights later on. If you do get a barrel onto Smlz, if you are able to completely get him out of the fight where he's not putting down constant DPS, that's where FPX can really shine. That's where the equalizers, the, you know, the Kaisa Q and the Gangplank barrels will start to shred this front line from the side of Ultra Prime, because there's not, apart from the Sett, which you just mentioned, no one's really that tanky. Like, you will destroy Hacker, you will blow up xiaocaobao. Like, these guys will just be completely obliterated if you give them enough time to be, you know, on the side of FPX.
Yeah, but that also comes down to, I think in a lot of situations, that would come down to a mistake from Ultra Prime, or, you know, how FPX set it up. Because at this point in time, FPX, in my mind, are playing a lot more of a tempo comp, and I guess what I mean by that is, you know, you have a very easy time of getting numbers advantage of overwhelming the enemy on one side of the map, right? Doinb has an easy time moving, you'll have the Cannon Barrage available, so it's about looking for those picks on sides, maybe trying to catch people on the jungle. The problem with that, though, is that Ultra Prime have done a great job of sticking together. Even now, we saw xiaocaobao go up to one side. Once the wave was on his side of the map, push that out. We see ZS doing the opposite, so Ultra Prime aren't really giving FPX those windows to make those plays.
All about how Up want to play this next few minutes. You know, they've got the Infinity Edge. 3 items completed now for Smlz. They have no Dragon available to them for another 3.5 minutes, but there is a Baron maybe on the board. You've got the Phantom Dancer here now as well for Lwx, who's got a little bit extra escapability and a little bit of extra crit as he goes in onto ZS, whose Stride Breaker is out. And the Zhonya's, you mentioned earlier, the Hacker has finally been completed, but ZS finds Doinb, puts down a little bit of hurt there onto Skarl. They're just kind of posturing around.
Also interesting to note that we see Nuguri went for the Collector, so going to be trying to get more gold out of that. Also, Collector Death and Taxes right is max HP execute, so even really good up against ZS.
Oh, Tien. Tien's been caught. He has to pop the Equalizer almost immediately on top of it, but it's actually xiaoC who dies. Great zoning Cannon Barrage on top of the Equalizer to stop it. Now you can see the charge coming in. They jump straight onto Smlz. It's a dive comp as he try to go for it. Doinb just doesn't have the damage, though. Smlz is still alive, still has all the summoners. Oh, the Moonlight Vigil is huge! And it's ZS that picks up the spoils. Smlz survived, and Smlz popped off. Nuguri wants him, though, but this is an Aphelios. This is 200 years of engineering and game design, and this man will not fall.
I mean, that's the thing, right? It's still a 3-item Aphelios, has the IE Kraken Slayer and Runons. Didn't matter if other members went down or got picked off. We also saw some of those tools from FPX were used before, not onto Smlz. They were used to find that initial pick, and Smlz was able to take advantage, and now this is going to be a Baron for Ultra Prime. Not even just that, almost at a 5k gold advantage. And what homies, waiting for the rest of the team to come up.
I mean, this is just, it looks great. xiaoC looks like he's fought a kill, but a fantastic combination of ultimates. But your ultimates are down. You don't have that combination to jump onto Smlz now. So what are you going to do once Kled comes into this? He's by himself.
That's the thing, right? Hacker does buy some time, but Doinb all by his lonesome. And then they keep walking forward. xiaocaobao hitting a really nice accelerated shock blade as well. And there is that ultimate taking so many members down. It's just hard. Smlz is the one who got all the gold. Your AD carry fell so far behind. And as we highlighted, a lot of those ults Smlz was just able to walk out of. They prevented xiaoC from being able to escape, but in the end, that doesn't really matter all too much.
It just kind of gets harder right now, harder and harder and harder for the side of FPX. They need to stall. They need to just kind of keep, you know, get Lwx onto 3 items, get Kled onto 3 items. They've got the Gangplank there. Gangplank and Nuguri is doing his best, and this is the kind of thing we noticed. We even saw it in the, you know, the spring split finals with FPX against RNG. Even when FPX aren't looking great, Nuguri is still a potential threat. You still need to have to respect him and what he can do to this team, but you know, it's very, very difficult. He needs time and, you know, kind of pressure to be able to set up these barrels. But he has got the Navori quick blades now, so he is able to kind of get that extra critical strike down, an extra little bit of damage as well.
Yeah, really interesting build. Again, with the item changes coming out, just opening up a lot of different aspects. ZS isn't really tanky enough to where he's going to be immune to the damage coming out from Nuguri, but still, Nuguri should never be able to hit these combos onto xiaocaobao or Smlz for that matter. As we saw in that sequence, they can just play from so far back. It's going to come a lot down to a flank, but look at Ultra Prime. They realize that they're getting vision in the jungle. They're making sure that Doinb doesn't find any angles to come in, and they're just going to keep sieging down as Up will not only get a turret, but also be able to take Dragon at the same time.
Yeah, they have pressure all on the map. They've got, you know, Nuguri is in a side lane. Yes, he's TP and Cannon Barrage, but they know there's no, you know, kind of question of a crazy barrel coming in anywhere, but see how that one kind of goes. 2 items here for the Sett. Has got the Randuin's Omen on top of his Stride Breaker, so he's doing well. Of course, you look down all the items, we are going to see potentially actually a Bloodthirster here for Smlz to keep himself alive, get that extra shield. So we now got himself an engage. There's a Cannon Barrage onto the backside. ZS, though, very tanky. xiaoC gonna go golden, and again, Doinb kind of left on his own, so xiaoC does die. There's the showstopper on top of everybody. Smlz and Lwx are the ones pumping out the damage, but you can see FPX, they need Gangplank there before everything else can happen, because those Gangplank barrels are what are going to stop this upside from advancing.
Nice by them to get 2 kills. It's not going to stop the push coming in like you highlighted. Nuguri doing his best.
Nuguri.
I think he's just dead, though.
He's dead, he's dead, he's dead. He does not have himself a flash. Even with the extra cooldown with the Navori quick blades, he cannot get that flash up quick enough, and now the base has been cracked. They are on soul point. Ultra Prime looking to send us to a game 3 if they can close this one out.
I think at this point it would take a really massive mistake with how the drafts have panned out, where the golds panned out, where we are, right? They're sitting on 2 Infernals as well. Tien's dead. Does flash away.
The Moonlight Vigil not quite able to get it, but now Doinb knows that ultimate is not there. Now they can pop in with Lwx. Hacker and Smlz still not losing health. Smlz's just not losing health as they get 2 quick kills up, looking to maybe reset. They may look to just end the game right here, right now.
This is why Aphelios is considered good in it, guys, so you jump into your death when you go into him. Crisp gonna go down as well, and you're right, Ultra Prime gonna actually bring us to 3 games.
Yep, they get themselves the inhibitor. They've got a minion wave coming in that mid lane. It's all onto Nuguri and Tien. They have the damage. There is the equalizer just to try and dissuade anything. Cannon Barrage is still there. I don't think Up can do it just yet. ZS and xiaoC taking a little bit low. Nuguri has to flash away. Great hook, though, onto Tien. Means it's a 1v5 situation. And Nuguri, I know you're Gangplank. I know you're probably the best top laner in the world, but I don't think you can do this on your own. They will pick up an ace. Lwx tries to come in, but he'll die as soon as he spawns. Doinb jumps in as well. He will follow as the Nexus finally falls. Ultra Prime taking us to a game 3.
And it is so nice to see when this roster got put together. Was why it was one of the like top rosters on my interest list, right? Because not only does it have interesting players like Smlz, like xiaocaobao coming in, xiaoC was the player even when eStar were not playing well, always kind of showed his role on the team as that main engager and showed his value. And the thing is, on paper, this team even just has a system of like, hey, we have a bot lane that we know wants to be aggressive, can be strong. We have a more ganking-oriented jungler. Zedus, I think, has shown his best games when he's not getting resources like eStar tried to do last year. And xiaocaobao coming in as a mid laner who can just be like, okay, I'm going to play to push my wave, hover towards my jungler, hover towards my side lanes, and find wins that way. And that's what they really did here. And I like that they never got baited into like looking for these fights with FPX early on, because remember, FPX was actually winning out in terms of like how quickly they were taking turrets or using Rift Heralds. But Ultra Prime realized, hey, Aphelios is just getting solo turret plates, solo turret gold left and right, and that was enough of a win condition in itself.
Yeah, honestly, the fact that they were getting the kills in bot lane, the early double kill, which meant the early Kraken Slayer, which then meant, you know, he just Kaisa couldn't do anything. Kaisa couldn't go near this bot lane, and the safety you have with that Thresh just meant that snowball just kept growing and growing and growing and just became unmanageable towards the end of that game. And for FPX, this is, you know, they relying very, very heavily on Nuguri, and when he's not on something like a Lucian that can kite its way around a fight, you know, reposition, get onto the backside, you're relying on kind of a bit more setup. It didn't really have the same kind of flavor, and Lwx really kind of being torn apart, honestly, in this bot side. And again, like I mentioned it time and time again, only because there's so many positives for FPX in every other lane, the bot lane is kind of coming up as a bit of a weak link.
That's the thing, right? Because what started the bot lane's issues was, first of all, when we didn't see how the wave ended up in that position, but when Ultra Prime's bot lane was able to like freeze them out of getting some CS. I think that sent Lwx like 10 to 15 CS down. And then the second part was when they looked for that pick onto xiaoC, and it's like, hey, your jungle's on the top side of the map, your top laner's pushing up, your mid laner's under his turret. All of Ultra Prime are able to be here. Both of them get picked off. They lose more CS. And from there, bot lane was pretty much unsalvageable for the side of FPX.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do, and I gotta say for xiaoC, he was just so on point with this Thresh. Something that we kind of forget is something that, you know, has been in his wheelhouse for so damn long, and for Ultra Prime, able to deliver Doinb only his third ever loss on Kled as a champion. The last time Doinb lost on Kled was on 2018. It was a very, very long time ago.
When he was on Smlz's team.
Yes, I believe so. So it's 2018 summer playoffs. He lost it against JDG. Funny enough, he was on Rogue Warriors at the time. So, been a while since he's felt the the taste of defeat or tasted defeat from while playing one of his signature champions. And honestly, I'm just so happy to see Ultra Prime really bringing the heat, bringing themselves some life. And if this is how they're going to kind of continue, like you said, throughout the rest of the split, this is a team to get like a little bit excited for. These are players you can get excited for. And I'm very impressed with their LDL mid laner, xiaocaobao, because he's able to kind of, take that pressure, was able to take the first game where he basically was 1v2 the entire time and not let it affect him going into game 2.
And this is a team that I think a lot of us are probably going to have to move higher up our tier list. Like, this is a team I don't think anyone had competing for playoff spots, but close game 1 against FPX, now winning game 2. I think they have a very clear understanding of like what their win conditions are in game, and they're flexible around that. So yeah, Ultra Prime, an exciting team, and heck, they might be able to take the series.
We'll have to wait and see. FPX now 1-1 with Ultra Prime after a fantastic win there from the newly branded eStars lineup. We'll be throwing it to a quick break. When we return,